Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Wassalatu wassalamu ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Okay, so here I'm going to provide the solution for quiz number 1, fall 2014. And basically this is a very simple exercise just to apply the concept that you have learned during the lectures. And the objective here is to write a class patient that represents a record of a patient in a hospital. It has 4 private attributes: name, address, okay, where the class address is provided to you in the appendix here. So we need to use this class address. We need to add it to our project. It has an ID and a mobile phone. And the mobile phone must start with 05 and has 10 digits. Okay, so let's get started with this. First of all, we need to create the class address. So I already provided the class address in the LMS. You can either download it, okay, or just copy it from here into your NetBeans. So I'm going to create the class address that is already provided. Okay. If you don't add the class address, later on if you use the class address in your program, it's not going to be recognized. So it's important to start by adding the class address into your package. So as you have seen, I have created a package here. What I want you to do, every time you have an exercise to do, don't create a new project. Like you come here, you create a new project. It's not very convenient. I would like that you have the code that we did in the previous lectures with you. It can help you, for example, to go back to the lecture notes. So what you will do, you open the latest version that you download from GIT Hub, you download it, and then coming here and add a new Java package. You give it a name. For example, here I have given it a name previous.quiz01.fall2014, and then you will add your classes inside this package. And the package at the end, it's a folder. It's a folder in your NetBeans workspace. Okay, so second thing, we need to create the class patient, and then we need to add the different attributes. So I'm going to give you a few hints when you do an exam. You can just, instead of going back and forth to the Word document and so on, you will spend time. You can just copy the part that you want, okay, and add it here as a comment in front of you. Okay, so you will have everything needed in front of you instead of going back and forth, and this will save you time. So I'm going just to give you some hints how to save time in the exam. Okay, so I have everything. Now I have 4 private attributes. The name, so private, of type string, name. Even if I don't specify what is the type, of course a name, it's a string, it cannot be something different. We have a private attribute of class address. We have a private attribute for the ID. It represents the national ID of a patient and is a string with 6 digits. Okay, so this is the ID. And we have private attribute of type string, mobile phone. Okay. Then it has a constructor. So let me start with the constructors first. A constructor with 4 arguments that sets all the values. So the constructor is always public. It has the same name of the class and does not return anything. Okay, we have to do 3 constructors. The first one has 4 arguments, so it is full argument constructor. This one is the full argument constructor. It initializes all the attributes. Okay, and here we will have string name, address, string ID, and string mobile phone. Of course, here we need to do, we can do this dot name equal to name. We can do also this dot address equal to address, but this is not the best way. So as I told you several times, for example, now the ID must be 6 characters. Okay, if you do this dot ID equal ID, okay, you don't have any data validation here. Even if you do, for example, this dot mobile phone equal mobile phone parameter. So doing that, you may have invalid input from the user. So we should use set name. Of course, now we're going to have some compilation errors because we did not define this method yet, but I'm going to define them. It's not a problem. You can just try them anyway because they are going to be defined. And then set ID and set mobile phone.
First we write this before it, right?
Yeah. You can write this dot set name. It's not a problem. I mean, it's possible to write like this. So most important thing, make sure that the attributes are lowercase, and if they are composed from one word, so the first word is lowercase and the second word start with a capital letter. This is the convention. Okay, same thing for the method names. Okay, set name. So N is capital. I don't want to see something like this or something like this. So the convention for Java is to use this notation. Let me define the set and get methods. So we will start by the get method of the name, public string get name and return name. Is everything clear until now?
Yes.
Okay, and public void set name, and we have to put a parameter here. Okay, this dot name is equal to the name parameter. We will do the same for the address, public, it will return an address, get address, and return address, and here it's public what? Void set address, we put an address here, address, and same thing, even if it is an object, we can do this dot address is equal to address. We don't have any data validation here, right? Okay, so now for the ID, we will do public string get ID, return ID, and public string public void set ID string ID. Now we can do this dot ID equal to ID, but here we have a data validation that we have to do, right? So what is the data validation? If the ID dot length equal 6, in this case we can do the assignment, else we can throw new illegal argument exception, and we set an error message, ID must have a length of 6 characters. Now,
if I write FID equals string double quotation between double quotation 6.
no, it's like this. It's the length must be like this. Okay.
What if the ID contains characters?
What if the ID contains characters? It's not a problem. The ID is a string, but the length, we are talking about the length. Look, 6 digits. Yes. We must make sure that, it is digit. Right. Yeah, so here we need to check how to make the conversion to digit, or to check whether. Okay, so the data validation is going to be more complicated, but just I'm going to skip it now. It's
Because it didn't ask for it.
yeah. Okay, that's true. But this would be acceptable here. Okay, so and finally we have public. So now instead of writing all of this, if you remember, we already did for the phone number. You can just bring it from here. Okay, when we have something already done in the lectures, we can do it Okay. Get mobile phone and set mobile phone. Okay, we already set it must start with 05. This is data validation, and the length is 10 characters. Okay, this is the first constructor. We did the set and get method because of the encapsulation or the concept of data hiding. And we need to do a copy constructor. So I always have questions about copy constructor. So let me clarify this again. What is the definition of copy constructor? It's a constructor that has a parameter, yes? An object of the same class. Okay, so patient. Okay, we are going to copy the content of this patient into the current patient. Okay, what we can do, we can use the constructor this, okay, patient dot name, okay, patient dot address, and patient dot ID, and patient dot mobile phone. So yes, here I want you to use the keyword this in order to call the full argument constructor. Yes.
Can we copy all of the attributes and using one line or something like that?
What does it mean, copy all that?
All of the attributes, like the name, the address, ID, without setting each one.
I don't know how you want to make it. I don't understand how you want to make it.
I'm just asking that if I want to copy a patient's full details, just like without using patient.name, patient.address.
No, this is the way how to do it. This is the way how you do it. Okay?
Doctor, if we wrote the set methods in the copy constructor, it's wrong?
It's not wrong, but it's not the best way. So since we have learned how to reduce the code size using the keyword this, so we have to use it. Okay? Although I did not specify that, but of course, it's something that you have to use it. A default constructor with no argument where all the values are set to 0. Okay? So we can do public patient. So when everything is set to 0 or null, we can just put it empty. Okay? But in some cases, if I tell you, for example, the default name will be NA for not available, in this case, you have to set it manually.
By using the keyword this.
Yeah. So we're done with this. And then we have a toString method.
Why the same? You inside the parameter you type patient and also patient.
This?
Yes.
You can call it anything. You can call it X. It's the name of a variable.
That you will
Yes.
need it in the test.
Yes. You can give it any name. So it's a name. This is the name of the class. It must be patient. And this is the name of the object. You know, you can call it X, Y, Z, or whatever. So I call it patient because I think it's more readable like this.
Doctor, when we say constructor with attributes initialized, it's the exact same as a default constructor? We made a default constructor here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Does this answer the question of constructor with attributes initialized?
No, this one, for initializing the attributes, this one.
Oh.
Okay, so now we have the toString method, which returns a string representation of the patient class in the following format. So this is the format that you want, and you have to be careful, okay, when to respond to the question. So you will use public string toString, and here we return string.format. So the easiest way to do it, let me copy the whole thing here, and then this one will be changed by %s, this one by %s, this one by %s, and this one by %s, and then this is the ID, and then the name, and then the address, or the address or mobile phone. And then the mobile phone and then the address. Okay, so here we have mobile phone, and here we have the address.
The address one does not have a toString in its class, so like how can you call it here?
We have to get city get state.
Separately.
The address doesn't have what?
A toString in its class.
If you print it like this, it won't print.
It'll give the number.
This is the address.
Yeah, but in the address class, there's no toString.
It's not. There is no toString. Yes. Okay. So what was the format here? Let me check. Yes. That's a good point. So in the class address there is no toString, and basically, if there is no toString, we have to write this manually. Okay. So instead of writing as follows, so we need to do %s. So the class address here, it has 3 attributes that are string. And then I will do address dot get street name, and then address dot get city, and address dot get country. So this is the way how to respond to it, because as your colleague has observed, there is no toString method in the address class. So if you're going to print %s, the address object is going just to have a reference number, which we don't use. So in this case, you have to decompose this manually. Address.street name, get city, and get country. So this is the whole stuff for the class. Is there anything missing? I think we have addressed all the different requirements.
Is it okay if I modify the class?
No.
Address class?
Usually no. Usually no. Okay, we are done with this. So you have seen we spent a lot of time discussing, explaining, and still maybe 15 minutes, and you are done with this. So it should not take 45 minutes or 50 minutes. So time management is really very important in the exams, and this comes only with practice. Write a test program that creates an array of 3 patient objects as follows: patient 1, patient 2, and patient 3. So now we will create patient test. Let me copy all of these things. Patient test. And here the requirements. So since we are in the test class, we have to do public static void main string args. We have to define a main function here. After that, we will create the patients one by one. So what's the requirement? Again, create an array of 3 patients. So first of all, I'm going to create an array. Okay, so it's an array of patients, and basically it's like you do an array of string, or an array of double, or an array of int. You use patient as the name of the type, and then the array, let me call it patients equal new patient. How many elements? 3. So this is an array now. It contains patients that are null because they were not defined.
What is the type of
Hmm?
patient? why you didn't do it int? Because it's a 3.
3 elements. This represents the number of elements because it requires to have 3 patients, an array of 3 patient objects. So we create an array. So if you create an array of 3 string values, you will do string, okay, str array equal new string, and then the number of elements, for example 10. Here we want to create 10 patient values, okay, so instead of string we just put patient. This is the name of the array. So it contains 3 elements, element 1, element at index 0, index 1, and index 2. Now we're going to put the patient objects.
The type of the array is patient.
The type of the array is patient, yes.
Doctor.
So here it means, one moment, this means you have an array okay, so you have an array of 3 values. Okay, let me just increase this. Let's say this is our array. Okay, at index 0, index 0, index 1, index 2. In index 0, I'm going to put patient 1, patient 2, and patient 3. Okay, so I need to create 3 patient objects. What we can do patients at index 0 equal, so this is now the first element in the array. New patient, okay, so let's make it in a different way. Now let's create the object one by one. Patient 1 equal new patient, and then we have to fill the parameters with this. So what is the first parameter? Name. Okay, so I'm going to copy this one as the name. And then the second parameter, the ID. So this is the ID. And it is also a string. Okay, and the third parameter, mobile phone or address? Look now, the second parameter is the address. Okay, so we have to be careful. So in principle here we will have the address. One common error from the students, they do something like this. What is the error here? So here you have put an object of type string, whereas the constructor, it waits for an object of type address. So we need to create a new address here. Okay, so what we can do address 1 مثلا equal new address, and then this is the name of the road, and then this is the name of the city according to the constructor. Okay, according to the constructor, street name, city, and country. I'm just following the constructor order, and then the country is this one. Having created the address one, I can use this object in the constructor of patient. And we have learned this in the lecture about composition and has a relationship. So here the class patient has an object of type address. And of course the last parameter will be the mobile phone. Now we have created patient 1. What we can do, we can add this patient into the array. We can do patient 0 equal the object patient 1. So it means at the array, so this is the array patients, at index 0 I will put the object patient 1. Now we will do the same for the second element of the array. We will put the object patient 2. We're going to create it. Is it clear? Yes. Okay, so here in the first way I have just decomposed everything. I created the class address alone, I created the class patient alone, and then I added the object patient1 into the element index 0 of the array. We can do everything in one line if we want. We can do patient at index 1 equal patients here. Okay, so this is the patients array. Equal what? New patient. So the first parameter is the name. So I'm going to take the name, which is this one. The second is the address. So I can still do an object that I call address2, like I did in here, and then add it. Or I can just create new address inside new address. Let me take the new address. So I have new inside a new. If you want to create everything, Jeddah, okay, and here the name of the country. One moment, please. One moment. Let me finish. And then we have to make the ID. And finally, we have to make the mobile phone number. Okay, and now we have patient at index 1, okay, is completed with this information. Yes, what is the question?
So how can we change the attributes now of this patient?
We will come to it. Let me just finish the constructors, and then I will come to the next questions. Okay. One moment. And then the third patient is object created with the default constructor. So it's going to be easy. Patients at index 2 is equal to new patient. So the new patient doesn't have, okay, any parameter, just with the default constructor. Now,
Doctor, when we wrote the name and then the address and then the ID, why did we write in that order and not the order we wrote in the Tostring method?
it is the order of the constructor.
So it has to be in this.
String, address, ID, phone number. The same order of the constructor. Okay, so now we have completed the three elements at index 0, index 1, and index 2. Is it clear? Okay. The next question. Set patient 3 name to Munir Hamdi. Okay, let me bring these requirements. Now we will change the values of the third patient. So in order to set the name of the patient, so first of all, I need to access the patient itself. It's at index 2. Then using that, I will have the list of methods available. Which method I'm going to select? So I will change the name. So I will use set name. And here I will take Munir Hamdi and put it. So now the name will be changing.
There is no name.
No, it said name, change name to Munir Hamdi. Now, set name is going to change the name, so this will do. Change the name to Pada. Okay, to Munir Hamdi. Patient 3 is the patient at index 2. Okay, so this is index 0, we have patient 1. Index 1, we have patient 2. Index 2, we have patient 3. Okay, and then we will change the ID to this value, patients at index 2 dot what? Set ID, and then we will put this value. Okay, it's mobile phone, so same thing. We will do patients 2 dot set mobile phone, and we will take this value. And last thing, and probably this is where some of the students probably can get some problems, is the set address. So how can we change this one?
One by one.
No, now here the address is still null because we have used the default constructor. We cannot change it one by one. We have to change the whole address, okay? Because it's not already created. So what we will do, we will make set address, and here inside we will create a new address where we put the value of the street, okay, and then we put the value of the city, and then we put the value of the country. So this is the way how we change the address, and finally we have to do a semicolon here. One moment, let me check what is the problem. Patients here, patients 2.
And also the plan
Dot set dot.
after seeing just as
Yeah, I should not close the parentheses here, and I should close it here. Yes, now it's working fine. Yes.
So if we do patient 3 dot set name, will it change in the area row, or do we have to?
We did not define an object patient 3 like we did for patient 1, but if you did an object that is called patient 3, yes, you can do it. But here I made the change directly into the element of the array. I did not make an intermediate assignment.
So if the type of array was string, we cannot access any of these constructors, so the set name and the set ID.
Yeah,
So it has to be of the same type.
it has to be of the same type as defined in the class, of course. You cannot change it. Okay, I think we're done. Display the information of all patients. Very simple. What we can do a for loop for int I equal to 0, I smaller than patients dot length, and I plus plus. What we will do here,
Patient array.
system.out.println s out patients of I. So we already have the toString method, so it's going to print it. Let's try it now. Okay, it's going to call the toString method of the class patient.